What's up everybody, my name's Scott, and in this video we're going to take a look at a 14 horsepower Kohler K series motor. So stick around if you want to see the basic operation and maintenance on one of these Kohler air-cooled motors. I got this lawnmower because somebody left it at my local town dump. The gentleman that was dropping it off, I talked to him briefly and he said basically they put a carburetor on it and couldn't get it running. This is a 1970s Cub Cadet 1450 hydrostatic drive. This is the type and era of lawn tractor that one of those Kohler air-cooled K series would have. But the reason I needed to pull it was because these air-cooled motors are very susceptible to overheating issues when the fins and the engine block gets clogged up. There's three things I need to do to this motor. I need to clean all the fins, and I need to mark the timing marks. And lastly, when this motor is rotating over, there's a lot of noise. So I'm gonna have to tip this on the side and pull the motor mounts. And these are, ooh, these are loose. These are very loose. I guess I'm glad I looked at this. These aren't even hand tight. Bracket should be tight to the motor. This assembly has rubber motor mounts that take away the vibration. So this is wrong. Anyway, so it's a good thing I took it off. One side. This has to come off in order to take this off. Standard sizes. This grill is going to be a problem, I can tell you already. It's 2, 3. 3 out of 4 is not bad. That's actually, I can actually rotate that now because that heat from cutting it has loosened that. I'm calling that 4 for 4. Take this off. Perfect. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, so it does work. Okay. So it is working. It looks like maybe it's just dry. Just taking a tag end of a zip tie and putting some lubrication back in there, and hopefully it'll kind of work itself around. So if this allows me to reach in behind that flywheel and clean up the areas that I'm looking at, you can kind of see it right in that bright area. There's 2 lines. Those are the 2 hash marks. Not seeing any other marks, but I'm going to go ahead and clean the whole diameter just to be sure. Alright, so it's going to be hard to see, but I do have a little bit of white paint in each one of those marks. They're only like a 32nd of an inch apart from each other, so I don't know if for the timing if you're supposed to get it to be between those or what, but they seem awful close together to be, you know, anything other than, hey, this is the mark. So that part is done. The next part I gotta do is clean out all the rat poop and the rat's nest. So that's, you know, an air-cooled motor, if you leave all that stuff in the head fins like that, it'll overheat the motor and it'll seize and die. The other side of the motor here has got the same thing. It's just all this is completely packed with chewed up fiberglass and nuts and rat pee and rat seed, and it's all this heavy corrosion through here is this is aluminum, and the corrosion is from the rat urine. There's still some reassembly on the things I took apart here are going to be pretty straightforward. Anywhere that's rusty, like this flywheel and this sheet metal, it's going to get a treatment of a rust converter, and then just probably a semi-gloss black, and then I'll throw everything back together. The one bolt that's stripped out, I'm just going to leave it out. I can replace that in the tractor. That's easy enough. I'm going to clean this area. Most of the paint on the tractor is pretty well intact. It's just covered in grease. I just remembered I have some purple power and some scrub brushes that I used to clean the bilge on the boat. While those parts are drying, I've got really good access to the hydraulic lift lower on this, so I'm gonna try to get this freed up. I got some bigger wrenches in there, and I was able to pry this thing up, and I pried it up and it felt really loose, and then it sucked it back down in. So I think it's loose now. It definitely seems like it's free enough where I can put this back on. So I'm gonna grease this up and install it. Alright, so there's that link. You can see that move up and down. I think that's good. Alright, so this is the rod for that lift lower, so there's some rust on it. I'm just going to lightly sand that off so it doesn't wipe the seal out as soon as I try to use it. The next thing I need to do, the hydrostatic forward and reverse control has a shaft that runs through the bulkhead, and it pivots on this bolt, but it's like a steel shaft in a steel bolt, so it's all seized up. So I've got to try to loosen that enough so I can get it out and grease it. Yeah, so that's got a you know, it's pilot drilled, and then a shaft runs in there, but it's definitely steel on steel, and they provided no way to grease it. So yeah, I'm gonna slap a bunch of grease in there and put it back on. So I'm up under the tractor. There's a motor mount has to go right here, and this skid pan is in the way. And I didn't pull this pan to take the motor out, but I'm gonna need to pull it to put the new motor mounts back in. So it's just 4 bolts, should come right off. Motor mounts are in, snugged up. The one on this side was a pain in the butt. The only way for me to get the nut on was to use a pair of these vice grips and fish it in there and then tighten it. But they're all in, they're all tight. Alright, so I got the tractor all back together. I didn't bother recording much of it. This sheet metal took a long time to get back together. There's like 6 pieces that build this box, and it's all different size screws. But anyway, I've got a new coil. There's a new condenser on here. When I got the thing out of the trash at the dump, there was no condenser, so that was another reason why the people probably couldn't get it started. You need a condenser and a points ignition system. They had also put this new start solenoid on it. It's not fully wired in correctly because it's a different style, but I have this wire here which I can jump to crank, So I just have a gravity fed fuel thing here with like a cup of gas in it. New spark plug wire that I had made. This is the new carburetor that they had put on, and the throttle linkage here has been fixed, so it's got choke there, and then throttle mechanism works properly. Oh, I got a spare temporary battery rigged up. So my plan is just to pull this out in the driveway. Alright, I've been cranking and messing. I've got good spark, but this starter is so hot I can't even touch it, so I gotta call it for the day. So it's the next day. I made a more semi-permanent attachment for this condenser because that was bouncing around. I also remembered that I had screwed all the carburetor screws tight flush, so I backed these out to the factory settings. So let's try this again. Runs pretty good. It just ran that tank out of gas, and I'm kind of jammed in here between the car and the thing, but it works. It's definitely hot. It's smoking off some of that fresh paint and stuff that I put on it, but that started up pretty good. Well, it's running. It seems to like a little choke to get it going, but it starts pretty easy now. Sounds like the hydrostatic may be out of fluid or low on fluid, so before I drive it around anymore, I'm gonna have to check the rear end fluid, make sure it's not full of water. That's gonna be it for this part of the video. I'm gonna do the oil change and all the other maintenance type stuff on this later. So thanks for checking out the video. If you like old Cub Cadets and you want to see something particular with this one, leave a comment down below. If you're familiar with these Kohler motors and you think there's something I should do to this motor before I run it anymore, please also leave that comment down below. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe.